drinking coffee on my balcony. Trees are dancing to the whistle of the wind. Lord, I'm thankful for everything. When it's dark, light my way. Bless my heart, Lord, bless my day. I had a hard time, but you've always been around. Please don't leave me, Lord, stay around.
It's been a super strange morning. Does anybody ever have a situation where they're so hungry in the morning and then you realize you have no food in your house, so you just end up eating last night's dinner? That's me right now. No regrets. I will get to this video, I'm just chewing. Hot. Hello fellow DIY friends, welcome back. I'm Danie, or as some like to call me, DIY Danie. Yeah, I know, okay? And this is my channel, the Diaries of DIY Danie, a place where I share my love of DIY and my journeys as I solve home decor dilemmas in your spaces with custom creations. So today's video is a little bit of a different one. With full honesty, I actually had prepped an entire video that was a DIY gift guide for the holidays, but I had to put that on hold because there's something that's been on my mind a lot lately, and it was really important for me to talk about it as a creator on this platform, but also just as a person who loves DIY. And I just felt like it really represented who I am, and I couldn't possibly proceed on this channel without being honest with you guys about how I feel about it all. So bear with me as we go through this entire conversation. And that topic is why DIY? And are you letting the world of DIY take advantage of you? I mean, why create a DIY at all versus just going out to the store and buying it? Heck, I produced an entire series about this concept. And just to be clear, this video is not about, oh, I'm a passionate DIYer and I just like to make things with my hands, or your love of homemade versus bought. That's not the point. For any of you who've been following my channel from the beginning, you guys know how much I love DIY and DIY builds. And if you're new here, then welcome, subscribe, because we have a pretty awesome DIY community starting here on the Diaries, so you don't want to miss out. But what do I mean by why DIY? In my mind, when it comes to DIY, there are three important things that we need to think about. Those things are quality, cost, and time. Each one of these equally affect you, but it is you who has to decide how you evaluate each one. Don't get me wrong, guys. I realize that DIYing is a sense of meditation for a lot of you, or it's just a general hobby that you love to do on your own time. But regardless of hobbies or meditation or whatever your reasoning for DIYing, these three things are going to affect you in some way. So let's break them down. Quality. And this is a really big one for me. Think about the project you are making, the materials that are going into it, and think to yourself, is this piece going to last? I think it's amazing on how resourceful people are when it comes to DIY creations. Now that could be going to a thrift store or getting your materials from a dollar store, and that's all okay as long as you guys believe that what you are purchasing is providing a quality end product to you. Do we feel like this shot's like lame? Do we need plant life? Side plant life. Okay, let's proceed. I get it, we all can't afford to buy the items that we want because they are way out of our price range. I get it, me too. But what is the point in going out and spending your money to DIY that product if it's just gonna fall apart 3 weeks later or a year down the line? At that point, you were better off to just find an alternative that was cheaper, or just bought the item that was too expensive, because at least it's going to last you a really long time. Think about the materials that you're purchasing and ask yourself this question. Is my DIY going to be a quality, durable piece in my home that will last the test of time? Natural light just looks so much better on my face, don't you think? Now keep in mind there are many factors and considerations to this conversation, like the need for a custom-made piece because you have an awkward home, or a purchase item doesn't solve the problem. or decorative pieces that you can hang or sit on a shelf. But this conversation around quality isn't talking about those pieces. I'm talking about functional pieces that you want to DIY and use every day in your home. Like this bench, for instance, I built this 2 years ago and it is still strong and functional in my everyday life. With that, I think what goes hand in hand with quality is just having general perspective and maintaining those expectations that you're not an expert. I mean, neither am I, so your DIY is probably gonna have a few flaws, and that's okay. So you need to ask yourself, what is your tolerance for these flaws? I mean, flaws will add character, and if you think that's a good thing, then that's great, because I do. Over time, you can hone those flaws depending on the amount of time you are willing to put into it, which is my segue to the next topic. Time is a bit of a funny thing. I think as I get older, time becomes a little bit more precious in terms of the time I put into my personal life and the time that I put into my work. Or really putting a value on the amount of time that you invest into a DIY project. The big question is, what is your time worth to you? I find time is something that many DIY creators or at-home DIYers don't talk about much. Online, we're viewing DIY content in a span of like 3 to 10 minutes, when in reality, these projects can take a lot of effort to create. You're putting possibly hours and or days into these projects. But even down to just going out to get the materials to build your project, then coming home and then building it, that's all time. So when you evaluate not only the quality of the project, but the amount of time that it'll take to put into it, this could really impact your purchasing decision. I mean, really, was it simply just easier to go and buy the solution instead? I don't know, I question this all the time. So what is your time worth to you? Not putting a monetary value on it just yet, what is going and spending an entire weekend building a DIY project worth to you? As a last evaluation of time, that is, time is money. This is my garage. This is also where I build majority of my DIYs, especially in the winter. Normally when I'm in here, I have 2 lights set up. I also, guys, very, very exciting, just bought a heater. This guy's gonna change my life in here, I hope. But you guys should see this. This is a cool project that you're gonna be seeing coming up. I will not reveal what this is yet, but I can tell you it has something to do with laundry. Money is not always the important element to everyone, but it is an important factor in this conversation. Both quality and time play into a monetary factor. The reality is DIY can be costly, and truthfully, it doesn't make a lot of sense if you can get a commercial version that is cheaper and potentially a better build. When you factor in cost of materials and the cost of your time, you could be looking at a very expensive project at the end of it all. And then you question, was it even worth it? I certainly take this into account when coming up with my DIY pieces. I try to ask myself, is there a commercial version that solves this problem already? Is it cheaper? And how long will it take for me to build this? These questions normally challenge me to make sure that whatever I come up with is lower than market value, adds additional value to the home, and will be a quality piece. Not only that, and maybe I'm only really speaking to the online DIY space, but a lot of us, and I'm totally to blame for this too, when outlining the cost of a DIY project, only factor the materials into that evaluation. We don't factor in our tools or just the general wear and tear of them, and we don't factor in the value of our time. To make a quality piece? Money. The time it took to make that quality piece? Money. It's all relevant. Totally feel like a bargain bin version of Casey Neistat right now. I'm like, look at me all cool in my shit space. But I don't have any cool spaces to shoot in, okay? This is all I got. So, deal, people. Another factor is that most of us DIYers, we're not experts, which results in mistakes happening, which means we either have to invest in more material because we know those mistakes might happen, or we have to go out and then end up buying more material. I mean, eventually we're not gonna make mistakes, but I make mistakes all the time. It's not my fault, I'm just learning. Not only that, money and time could also be an evaluation on a commercial piece. Think about the amount of time it takes you to go out and buy that thing, then bring it home and inevitably build it. Again, that's all time, that's all money. Is all that considered into the DIY or buy process? At the end of the day, all three of these evaluations are completely a personal assessment. You just need to ask yourself, what is important to you when approaching a DIY project? I mean, I can't speak for other DIY creators on this platform, but this is my personal mandate for my channel moving forward. The best quality of DIY projects that I can produce within the best of my abilities. My humble and honest opinions and experiences through the process of these DIYs. And you can expect that moving forward, I am going to be 100% honest about the monetary value that is put into every project. I'm going to be breaking it down in two ways. One, based on just materials, so that if you out there actually own the tools, then you know what it's going to cost with materials. And then another one, I'm going to put a value with tools and a value of just general time, because all three of those evaluations matter when you're thinking about taking on a DIY project, especially in your home, especially on your own time. Oh, and last, I promise, lots of Kenobi. The DIY space is really crazy, I know, and there are a lot of amazing projects being built out there, new creations, new ideas that are always being thought up. This is just how I feel about the DIY space and how I approach it. I'd be interested to know how you all feel about this, whether that's just even like this a topic as an entirety or even just specifically into quality, time, or money. Or even more specifically, do you guys have situations where one of these factors has taken advantage of you? Did you have a piece that you spent all this money on and it fell apart? Or did you have something that you thought would take a day and then ended up taking like 7? Or did you have a project that ended up costing you so much more than what it would have cost to go out and buy it? Let me know in the comment sections down below, and thanks so much. If you guys got through this entire video with me, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And let me know if you want to see more videos of me talking about interesting topics like this. One specifically I was thinking about was like how to approach a big DIY project and prepare for it. Things you should never cheap out on, or things that you should cheap out on. Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Oh, hi, love. Hi. Say hello to everybody. Okay, not literally. Okay, lie down. Lie down. Yeah, it's a good boy. Oh, you look so cute.